Damian, can you explain the difference between shifting with a cable system versus rods or linkage?
Yeah, I mean it's just a system of getting your shifter to shift your transmission, but like the difference in how it feels.
Yeah, like for example, rods is you're shifting and there's a hard rod that shifts the gear in the transmission. So to me, that's a very direct feeling,
super
direct
connected.
feel, super connected. Like a manual Mercy you're saying is not a rod, but it's linkage, which is a metal.
It's a linkage connected to a rod. I mean, it's not a long rod because the transmission's right there, but it is a linkage system. So let's call it a rod. And then like 360s, 430s, that's going to be a cable system. I think your Aston, you said, is a cable system.
It's a cable system which feels spongier than the Mercy. I mean, the Mercy feels like there's something substantial that I'm shifting.
For someone who's really in tune with it, it is a little spongier for sure. Like there's definitely a way more direct feel. Like you feel like when you're shifting a Mercy, like if you didn't know, you would think that shifter goes right into the transmission.
That's how it feels to me.
Right. That's how
it's beefy. Smooth, but beefy.
And it's like you feel every click, and it's really a direct connection. There is a little more of a separation with the cables in the like a 360 or 430, but at the same time, it's got its own it's like a little buffer. So it's not a bad thing.
Does it make it smoother?
I think in some ways it can make it smoother. I mean, it's the only time you ever notice it is if you shift or kind of miss, or you're doing something where you're trying to push it a little too hard, and then you feel like that little bit of that spongy feel. And I feel like in like a Diablo or a Mercy, it's like there's none of that.
Zero, right?
If it doesn't go, it doesn't go. You feel like you're hitting metal on metal. And
is a 355 similar linkage rod or longer linkage?
It's a rod. It's a longer rod.
It's a longer rod.
Like a Testarossa, it's got like a longer rod that runs underneath.
So Testarossa is a rod as well.
Yeah.
Both of those shifters feel great to me because it feels like I'm doing something.
They feel great for sure. I mean, the 355 just has a better transmission, so it feels better because the synchros or however they designed it.
It's also 6-speed.
6-speed versus those old dogleg 5-speed
right
of the TR. I mean, it's cool. They feel great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not as easy as the newer stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's that more Honda-ish feel, I think, on the newer cars that like you can just downshift it.
That's where when someone puts me in their, let's say Toyota or something, they're like, it's an amazing transmission. And yeah, very easy to shift. But to me, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that I'm really feeling for maximum engagement. So my idea of what a good shifter is more meaty than what I think the world likes, which is soft and easy.
I think you're right. And I think I can appreciate what a nice Honda Civic 6-speed transmission feels like, or Toyota, like my Celica I had.
Are those cables?
Some are cables. I believe most of them are cables, actually.
Okay.
And they shift great, and they're precise, and you have a lot of control. However, I will say, I don't know if you've driven the Type R or the last generation Type R.
I haven't.
Fantastic.
I just drove an NSXT, a 2002. Short shifter, close ratio. That one felt amazing. I don't know what that is, but again, I think that I was enjoying the close ratio, short position. Everything about it was, this is a bitch.
And if I remember the NSX, it's like a notchy.
It was notchy, a little notchy.
And precise, though. Again, with precise. The Japanese, I really enjoy the precision of how everything shifts there. I mean,
that one wasn't as noodly and buttery and easy as I remember most Japanese cars. So that was starting to convert me of, oh, JDM is cool. Don't be so snobby, Paul.
What I like about JDM too is like, if it's not the way you like it, someone probably makes a part that'll make it the way you like it.
That's amazing.
And so on that Type R that I drove, and I'm pretty sure it was a stock shifter. I could be wrong. It felt like a machined aluminum ball on top of it, like sort of like the Mercy. So it was great. It had the precision and quickness, but it had the heft. It had some weight to it, so you felt like you're doing something. And that's what's important. I think that's what the Lambos do, man. It gives you that just a weighty, thick feeling of shifting, so you know what you're doing. So it's much more connected than like a super light shifter where you're like, did I get in the gear?
Right.
You know, it's not that. So
Doesn't feel like a win.
yes,
Feels like that was easy. That was too easy.
Right, yeah. Because the Lambos are a win. A Diablo's a win.
A Diablo from first to second, then down to first. You can have the balls to go from second to first.
Oh, if you do that downshift,
smooth,
you got some balls. You
are
got
a
balls
winner.
and you're good.
You're good. You're great.
Because
I'm proud. I match my synchros. I have not grinded going from second to first yet. I'm going. You know, I wait till I'm a lot slower, but I rev match. You got to rev match perfectly.
You have to rev match 100%. It's such a long gear that it doesn't have a lot of headroom for missing.
Right.
And that's what makes first gear such a badass downshift. And I rarely see people do the first gear downshift on a Diablo.
Right. Why take the chance?
My dad did it great. I'm okay. Like I like to do it. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
But you have to be super focused and you have to be on it.
Which is the magic right there. Super focused.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you're right. That's where it's the Japanese cars spoil you because like you almost feel like it's rev matching for you.
I drove a 2018 GT3 in the Crest, and and that's supposed to be the most amazing car, blah blah blah. And yeah, come on, man, it's phenomenal, it's reliable, it's you're just 8,000 RPM, what 9,000, yeah, phenomenal car. But I think it actually did the rev matching for me, and that bothered the hell out of me. I'll be honest with you, I don't want that.
I don't want that either. That's a little bit of
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's
a couple cars that do that. I know. I want to say the Z had a feature that you could turn on and off.
Hopefully, you can turn this off on the GT3.
I'm 1,000% sure that the Germans would let you turn that off. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it felt like this is the most perfect car ever, and that's why I felt like I never needed to drive it again because I already got it. It's perfect. You know what I mean? I want drama, theater, feel, engagement, but I think I'm weird.
I still want to get to a GT3. I'll make it raw.
Going back to cable versus rods and linkage, Countach, Mura, Diablo, Murcielago, all linkage.
Yes.
All short linkage to a rod.
Yeah, rods, linkages, one way or the other. They get around it, and which is fine. It's great. It's a great feeling. If you're asking me what's better, it's for me, it's car to car.
How's the 550 Maranello? Gated or rods?
It's rods. And
612, same transmission as that? Or maybe not?
I'm pretty sure the manual 612 has got to be the same setup.
Okay.
I haven't had one. I haven't seen one yet, but couldn't imagine they would have changed any of that.
Okay, but 550 definitely rods.
Yeah, it's definitely rods. And
F40?
I couldn't imagine it's anything but rods as well. It's
F50?
I don't know for sure, man. I don't know for
I gotta
sure.
look that up. I will look that up, and I'll put the little in white letters. Yeah. It's this.
Gotta be. I don't remember seeing cables till the 360.
So you didn't see cables till the 360 and 430. So the reason I'm interrogating you on this is I want to get to the bottom of part of the magic of the gated shifters, of what made the gated shifter the mythical thing. Was probably the feel as well of hard linkage and rods.
For sure. The precision that you could do with rods is you're connected to the transmission. They do it right and you're there. I think cables are pretty goddamn good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put it down.
You'll get a click of the metal plate.
Yes.
But you might be missing a tad. It's the magic of the actual gated shifter.
It feels a little too buttery.
Too good. Which is probably good.
Which is good. It's great. I mean, you're not gonna be in a 6-speed 430 thinking that this transmission needs to be better.
Right.
However, if I gun to my head and you're putting me on a 6-speed 430 and a 6-speed Mercy, I'm gonna pick the Mercy.
Yeah. And going back to weighted and feeling, the Mercy shift knob, the aluminum thing, does weigh like freaking 15 pounds. Like if I threw that at you from here,
it's over.
You would be dead.
Yes. If you
could damage it. You just unscrew it and hit somebody in the head, they're dead.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Solid. That's a solid.
So I'm not sure if that plays into the weight of that particular shifter too. It might. I don't know. It's long, top heavy, clunk.
I'm 100% sure they thought about the weight of that shifter when they put that together.
Okay.
No question in my mind. Yeah. There's no way you wouldn't.
Yeah.
If you change that shifter, you're gonna feel
Like, what's happening? Where's my thing? I'm
Yeah,
missing
it's going to be a whole weird feeling to it. It gives you power and it gives you momentum.
Right.
I love it. And I've seen, like I said, weighted shifters on cars with cables.
Right.
Like on the Type R. I would do it. I mean,
maybe the Type R, part of that hefty feel maybe came from the weight of the actual knob.
For sure.
Okay, or inside. Okay.
Yeah, it's for sure was part of it. And they did it right. Whoever did that did it right. It was great.
I think Porsches are cable, but I don't know. And Porsche's so loved by so many enthusiasts. So whatever they're doing, they're also doing it correctly.
I've enjoyed shifting Porsches. My 993 had an interesting shifter.
993 Turbo, what was that? Because that felt great.
It seemed to me to be cables.
Okay.
Again, I've never had to mess with it because it was super reliable.
Right.
But it was...
We'll put that in the letters on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, cable or rods, yeah.
We'll
that felt great.
It felt great, but it had its pluses and minuses. It was a little floaty because it wasn't a gated shifter.
Right.
So you had to get to know it. Like reverse and first gear was like right there next to each other. So it was close. So someone who starts driving that car, if you push too hard on your first, you could get into reverse if you didn't know better.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I loved it. It was super quick, super easy, but it was definitely more on the Japanese side than on the Lambo side on the Italian side, for sure.
Okay.
But great. I mean,
again, this wasn't to try to sell one is better than the other. It was more of what is the legit gated shifter? Is it cables or is it rods and linkage?
I think it goes by car.
Okay.
I don't think the word legit for me, it's you're in the
party. People say, oh, the feeling of the gated shifter. Where did the legend build from?
Right. But I think obviously there's cables with a gated shifter and linkages with the gated shifter. If again, gun to my head, linkages. I want the rods.
I want the rods too.
It's a little more in there. But I will have no you can marry a 436 speed. She's going to be the best. It's an amazing feeling. You're not going to
complain. You're not going to know, and you're not going to question.
You're never going to think about it. Let me ask you. What do you think? Where are you at?
My reference for what the ultimate gated shifter is a 355, 550, Diablo, and Murcielago. Manual Murcielago LP640. And so far, the manual LP640 was the greatest shifting experience on a Canyon ever. You had the weight. It was weighty, yet smooth and precise. But it, from first to second to third, fourth, everything was gliding into place, but without the spongy feel. My Aston Martin has a great 6-speed. I love it. It's a little on the spongy side. And I'm pretty convinced the Mercy gives me a direct connection of feeling those gears and the transmission go into place. And for somebody that likes to be in tune with a car all the way and take my focus from everything else but driving, I'm convinced the rods and the linkage is the way to go.
It's a good argument there. And I think you're right. I think we're on the same page. However, have you had some time with the 360 or 430?
I haven't. Yeah.
That's next. Just so you know, just so you can see because the Aston is not a gated shifter, right?
The Aston is not a gated shifter,
right.
No.
So it would be interesting that if the gated shifter part of the 360 or 430 brought you all the way, you know what I mean? Would you really tell the difference? You can. I mean, I'll tell you right now, you can definitely tell the difference. But man,
I can tell the difference. Much. Forget the guiding of the gate. When I go into gear, there is a
positive.
There is like
feel.
It's like a harder cartilage, but you can still chew it. Feel.
Yeah.
Right. But the rods and linkage this is bone.
Yeah. Okay. Agreed.
This is deep.
Yeah.
This is deep car talk.
This is one.
This is for the driver. This is super deep for the driver.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna talk about it, as just a caveat, clutch pedal is part of that feel.
I agree.
And that also kind of makes a difference.
That's true.
Because the clutch pedal is also super light in the Mercies. I mean, for a 600 horsepower sports car. And that really, like, it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels light. And it makes the shifter, I think, feel lighter also. So something, I don't know, to think about.
That's interesting.
Because I feel like the heavy pedal of the Diablo, of the early cars, and some like the 550 can have a little bit of a heavy pedal. It's like it changes a little bit of the whole
experience
of how it all meshes together, I think. Maybe this is another conversation.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, interesting. Because my Aston is a heavy clutch, but still
interesting.
cartilage, not bone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if the heavy clutch makes it better, by the way. I'm not an advocate of a super heavy clutch, but it's nice to have a good connection.
All right. Well, thank you very much for covering this subject.
Yeah, this is a good one. Deep cut.
Deep cut. Deep stuff. Thank you,
Awesome.
David.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.